Hi there, freelance friends. Thanks for joining me again. It's always nice to have you here. So today is another episode of Let's Talk Tech. This one is a little different. This one is talking about why you shouldn't give up on AI tools even when you really want to. And as it usually does, an experience of mine that I had recently sparked me to do this podcast because I thought that maybe some of you would benefit from this message. I hope you do. So, as freelancers, our tools obviously matter. We rely on them to save us time, elevate the quality of our work, and help us to deliver the kind of results that clients return for again and again. And many of us these days are using AI. It has become part of our daily workflow, but we expect it to be easy and perfect from the first try. But as someone who's been teaching AI for about a year and a half, I can tell you the truth of the situation. AI is not magic. It is a helper. It is a collaborator. It is an assistant. And like any other assistant, sometimes it gets it wrong before it gets it right. And I was reminded of this just recently when I was working on two very different tasks using Copilot. I will admit that one pushed me to the brink of abandoning the tool altogether, while the other reminded me why patience often pays off when it comes to using AI tools. So, the circumstance where AI, specifically Copilot, missed the mark repeatedly was when I was trying to create what I thought was a simple map of Europe with specific countries highlighted. The client that I was working with had a presence in specific countries, so I simply wanted Copilot to highlight those companies on an outline map of Europe. I thought that this was something that it could do. Simple enough, right? Match the country's name with the names that I gave it and color it in. Well, no. This was not a simple task for Copilot at the time of this recording. Specifically, I requested that the Netherlands, Belgium, Romania, and Greece be highlighted in one color to represent the presence of one company, and that the Czech Republic and Serbia be colored in another color to represent the presence of another company. But each time I asked Copilot to generate the image, something was off. Oftentimes, it highlighted the wrong countries or colored extra ones that I didn't ask for. And every time that I tried to revise my prompt and let Copilot know that it had done it incorrectly, it confidently responded like it had nailed it. So after several rounds of refining my prompt, clarifying the instructions, trying every alternative phrasing that I could think of, I finally did reach the point where every freelancer does eventually go. The point where you decide that your time and your sanity are worth more than fighting with this tool. So I abandoned the idea of having AI highlight the map for me. Instead, I had it produce a plain map, which it did easily do. And then I added stars overlaid on the map manually in the colors that I wanted. It wasn't the plan that I originally had, but it worked. The client was happy with it, and it was a quick, clean, and accurate solution in this circumstance. And I feel like I learned an important lesson from that. Sometimes AI, in its current state, is not the right tool for a specific task that we're trying to create. And knowing when to pivot is just as valuable as persistence. By no means do I think that you should give up on your AI assistant. To the contrary, I feel like AI is oftentimes a great assistant that can save us both time and energy when accomplishing our tasks. You just have to align it to the appropriate tasks because oftentimes AI will surprise you. For instance, let's fast forward to another task that I recently needed to complete. I specifically needed Copilot to build a timeline slide in PowerPoint for a client. I tried doing it on my own, but I will admit I am so far from being a graphic designer that everything that I was trying to create ended up looking rather elementary to me. So I wanted a little bit of AI assistance. Now, on my first attempt asking AI to generate this timeline for me, I received a text-only description on a slide. It wasn't even close to what I wanted in my head or that I felt that I had described in my prompt. But I didn't give up. I did try again. And I'll admit my second attempt was still not what I wanted. This time I did get something that was a little more visual, but it was basically a double-sided black arrow that I could build off of. Now, of course, I didn't need AI assistance to create that, and I didn't really feel like it was visually appealing. Then on the third attempt, I thought that the third time was going to be a charm. I don't want to give away the ending, but it wasn't quite exactly what I wanted on this attempt either. This time, it created a very visually appealing timeline. I thought that it would work really well in my presentation. But rather than produce a PowerPoint slide, it gave me an actual image. So I wasn't going to be able to easily edit it. And going back to my graphic design skills, they are sort of at the beginner level. So I didn't have the skills to properly edit this and get it to look like I wanted from the image file. Now, I asked Copilot to transform it into a PowerPoint slide. I thought that that would be a really easy task for it. Well, it said that it did, but when I opened the file that it gave me, it really didn't. So I had to try another strategy. I kept refining the prompt step by step, guiding it closer to the visual concept that I had in mind. And here's the lesson in this experience, because I do feel like it is the part that many freelancers like me often overlook. And that's that AI works best in a back and forth process, not as a genie granting all of my wishes right away, but more so as a creative partner that you shape as you go. So I did stick with that iterative prompting, and after a few more iterations, it finally delivered what I wanted. It delivered it accurately and with that visual polish that I was looking for. The final product was clean, professional, and better than one I would have been able to make from scratch, at least without spending a ridiculous amount of time on it. And I showed it to the client, and the client agreed that it was a visually appealing design, and he was happy that I was able to include it in the presentation. So it's a win. Now, overall, if I had to give one defining lesson or remember this for this podcast, it would be that AI isn't here to replace your creativity. It's here to accelerate it. Once you and the tool learn how to communicate with each other. After all, as freelancers, we have to make sure that we use every valuable moment because we're juggling client expectations, deliverables, business operations, and our own creative energy on a daily basis. So when a tool doesn't work instantly, it feels like wasted time. But sometimes it is worth sticking through it for a little bit longer, but also knowing when it's time to give up and move on. Overall, if I had to give you 5 tips on what I've learned over my time using AI, I would say that first, AI does improve with guidance. Just like a designer or an editor that you may be working with, your clarity and specificity shapes the outcome. Second, iteration is part of the workflow. It is not a failure. If it takes a few tries, it doesn't mean the tool is broken. It means that you need a little practice narrowing in on the result, and that is perfectly okay. We all need those iterations. Third, you do have to identify when it's time to pivot. If something isn't working after several reasonable attempts, then shift strategies. AI is a helper, but not always in the way that you initially planned. Fourth, small wins compound. What does that mean? That means that one timeline slide turned out beautifully for me. It saved me time, impressed my client, and elevated the deliverable. If I hadn't been willing to keep at it in that case, I wouldn't have had such a wonderful result. And last, your creativity is still the engine. You really do matter in this process. Your voice, your expertise, they all count. The AI tool supplies the possibilities, but you are providing the direction. And if you really think about the reality of the situation, I ended up with a product that the client was very happy with because my client doesn't know how many prompts it took me to generate the final outcome. In fact, we all know that what they care about is that final outcome and that it's strong, polished, and aligned with their goals. So AI tools like Copilot can be powerful allies for us as freelancers, but only if we treat them as part of our creative ecosystem, not one-click solutions that are going to do everything for us. And of course, some days they're going to wow us, and other days they're going to make us roll our eyes and go back to doing most of the job ourselves. But either way, sticking with the process equips you with more in-demand AI skills that you can build on moving forward in your business. Of course, you'll become more confident, and as a result, you're probably going to learn more ways to use AI to deliver exceptional work. And in the world of freelancing, that adaptability is the key to success. Thanks for listening. I hope that this was helpful to you. Please do like and subscribe. If it was, I hope to see you on the next round. Take care. Bye.